Hi guys, and welcome to this week's Salon CEO episode. So I thought we'd be really interesting this week and switch up a little bit. And I've got my social media team and Abbie who I'm speaking to today. Thank you, Abbie, for coming.
Thank you for having me.
So I just thought it'd be so interesting to speak to you and talk about, having a social media team, how it's important in your business, as well as obviously maybe not being at that point yet of having one. So before we get started, I just want to talk about obviously what you did before this and how was JA Social Suite born?
So I was brought up in a performing arts background. So growing up, I did a lot of like singing and dancing and drama and stuff like that. So, naturally growing up, when I went to college, I just studied music.
Yeah.
And I ended up hating it. Like I love...
Did you?
Yeah. I love music
and
love singing. Like it will always be a part of me. But yeah, I absolutely hated it. I really struggled academically. So I kind of left that, and I actually taught singing one-to-one for like years, like 8 years in total in the end. Yeah. So that's what I started doing. And I knew that I was quite good at teaching. And my mum ran a performing arts school, and kind of growing up, it was like, oh, you and your sister will take over and that's what you will do.
Yeah.
But I was always on the fence about it, and I kind of was like, I don't know if that's actually what I want to do. So it got to the point where my sister studied dance in university, and I kind of was like not studying, I was teaching. And then I remember me and my sister went for coffee, and we had a conversation about Instagram. And we were talking about influencers, and this was back in 2018. And I remember sat there, and she was like, oh, to be an influencer, like that life of like...
I feel like that's one of the things that people think, oh my God, I'd love to be an influencer.
Yeah.
It's so easy.
Yeah.
When actually the reality, it's not.
Yeah. So obviously, me being me, like back then, I just had so much confidence, and I was like, why could we not do that? And my sister was like, oh, don't be silly. And I was like, no, like seriously, like why can't we be influencers and work with companies and get gifted stuff? Why can't I do that?
Yeah, I love that.
Like there's no one to stop me doing it.
Of course, no.
So I'm just going to do it. Obviously,
that.
like the conversation ended there and like didn't bring it up again. But in my mind, I was like, no, actually, I'm going to research a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go onto Instagram. I'm going to look at all these people doing influencing, and I'm going to see what they're doing. So back then, 2018, like straight away, I'm into like researching everyone on social media, studying everyone, what they're doing, how things work, how things don't work. And I literally started from that moment. I would just post every single day, posted my outfits, like used loads of hashtags, tagged loads of brands, and I literally got into influencing. So I think that was where my enjoyment of social media stemmed from, was the whole like influencing. Yeah. And that's how I got into
And
that.
you said like such a key thing then when you said about like research.
Yeah.
Like you studied and you researched. And I think that is something that's so big. And I feel like people now just want to learn and research and just know, obviously things in social media are forever changing.
Yeah.
So I feel like when it comes to having a social media team, it's so different because as well as doing obviously a busy column or a busy running busy salon, you cannot keep up with that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because it's forever changing.
Yeah. And this is like proof that things change so much. Back in 2018, I grew my account to 10k followers within under 6 months. Like it happened so
amazing.
Quick, and I was working with so many brands. I had literally parcel after parcel turning up, and like big brands I worked with like Garnier, Nivea, Pretty Little Thing, like huge brands, and I was like traveling for shoots and stuff. But if I tried to do that again, it would be so different, because I literally would post every single day. The quality, the pictures were awful, and the hashtags were just so weird and
it's funny, isn't it?
But hashtags worked so well back then. And some of my posts, the impressions would get thousands just from hashtags. Now, I don't use hashtags because I don't like them. I mean, they work for some people, I guess. Like it is totally preference. But I mean, at the moment, things have come out from the head of Instagram that they're not reliable anymore. Yeah. They're just not. Like things change.
It's funny though, isn't it? Like things on social media change so much. Like I remember the days of literally just posting a really good before and after.
Yeah.
and then that'll be it. You'd
Yeah.
be like, yep, oh my
And
God,
now,
amazing.
It's just not enough.
I know, it's actually crazy. So from obviously social media going over to then JA Social Suite,
Yeah.
how did that come about? And then how did it, what was the decision that made you think, okay, I'm going to stop influencing now and I'm going to take over this?
So it started when my sister actually took over my mum's dance school.
Okay.
And I didn't, which I think people thought we would together. But she took over, I didn't, but I carried on teaching. But alongside the influencing, a few years after, I actually did start working with my sister. So we were working together. I was helping her with her business. And I ended up just falling into the whole social media. Like, obviously, I was teaching at the dance school, but I was also hands-on full with the social media. Yeah. So I was taking photos, videos of all the classes. I ended up doing my sister's admin, her emails, like just so
Everything.
much. And I just I fell into it. And then I remember saying to Jordan, like, I actually really enjoy this and I'm good at it. Yeah. Like, her business grew so much. And Jordan did her website and did her booking system and all of that. And like because she basically, her incentive was like, you can book a free trial and then obviously you can join if you want to join, but the first class is free. Yeah. So we made sure that was like key selling point for social media, and her bookings like 5 times. It was insane. And she'd always have comments like, oh, who's doing your socials? And she was like, my sister's doing it. And it kind of stemmed from there. And so we went from obviously running the dance school to then we offered free social media management to people that we knew. So it was like family members or like close people in our circle kind of thing that had service-based businesses. So we did some stuff for like a lash tech. And that's just kind of how we got into the whole management thing. But at the same time, I was still doing influencing. Yeah. So as we were growing JA, I remember saying to Jordan, like, I'm struggling to keep on top of it because of how hands-on the influencing was. Like, to have parcels turn up every single day and you've got to get that content out. Course, but then I'm also trying to grow a business. Like, the first stages of growing a business is so difficult. And on your mental as well. Like, I said, Jordan, I just need to make a decision. And I loved the community of it. Obviously, I mean, it's nice to have free products and stuff.
Of course, yeah.
But the community was what I absolutely loved. Like, I would have hundreds of messages every day from girls. Like, I had such a tight knit of community and I absolutely loved it. So that was one thing that I kind of like heartbroke a little bit. Like I need to focus on my business. But yeah, I do. I kind of miss that.
And it's so good that you like obviously touch on community, because I feel like, that community where people like business owners and, people, especially people in the hair, beauty and aesthetic industry, they don't necessarily always talk to each other. And it's something that I feel like people really need to like hem down on and start talking to other people, because it's something that is, it shouldn't be like a negative place. It should be so positive and people should really support people. But that's so interesting and so nice that you got like loads of messages talking about, like what you're wearing and what you're doing. Yeah. So that must be, like you say, so hard to leave something when you know that actually your next passion that you're moving on to is something going to be so much more, but also a community as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously but in a different kind of sense, I suppose. Yeah. Love that. So when obviously then going from your, what did you then know? Like, how did you know who you wanted to work with? Like, how did that come about with the situation of like, right, I know, like, obviously if you were working with lash techs and things, like, where did the decision come from of who you wanted to work with?
So in the beginning, obviously building any business is like tricky to navigate, but we did a lot of planning and market research. Like, we did so much even before we knew these technical words. Like, we were doing it.
Yeah. And I feel like that's actually so key saying that, because a lot of people do these actions and things, but they don't really know that they're doing market research, or they're doing, like trying to learn like new things and trying to figure it out as they go. So that's so good that you said that.
Yeah. And I think in the beginning, it was just an idea that I had. And Jordan's very like technical. He's very like, he's realistic. Like, I'm the one with like the idea, but he's the one that will put the idea together. Yeah. But back when we were, I mean, even before we started JA, it was just my idea.
Yeah.
And he knew that I had this idea and I wanted to do a course in marketing, and I knew what course I wanted to do. I wanted this ebook. Like, I wanted all these things to start investing and learning.
Yeah.
And when I think he kind of realised, because we actually met working in a cafe.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. So we kind of was working in a cafe, doing what we were doing. And I think he kind of knew deep down that I actually really had a good feeling about this. It was something that I actually, like, I couldn't shake off. For months prior, I was saying to Jordan, like, something's got to give. Like, I know that I need to do something other than working in a cafe. Like, I just know I'm meant for more.
Yeah.
And I think, one night he literally was just like, if you're going to do this, let's do it together. And I was like, I literally looked at him and I was like, what do you mean?
I love that.
Like,
it's so nice because when you do have like a supportive partner, and like I'm so similar to you when you say like I have 100 ideas all the time, and my husband is like, okay, Chloe, like you need to slow down, you need to break it down. But it's so good that you have someone like that, because I do feel like we get these ideas and we think, oh my God, like that'd be amazing. And then actually putting them into, like, it's knowing the steps, you know, like when I have people come and train with me, you know, it's very much like, okay, here's your course. But then there's nothing after. That I think is what is so important these days, that to know that there's like the next steps to take when you just get sold a big dream. And then you need to like break it down and work out, okay, well, how am I going to get these clients? Like, how am I going to like launch this business? How am I going to find people? Like, you know, like even just cut down to the name, like things like that, you know, I think we sometimes get so overexcited. I do 100%. And then we think, okay, well, what are we doing now? So obviously that was your idea. So you and Jordan were like, right, okay, we're going to work together.
Yeah. And I think everything else kind of just fell into place over time. Even if, I mean, I feel like now it didn't fall into the right place, but it happened and it was clearly meant to be, because when we grew JA, we knew that we wanted to work with service-based businesses because we'd already done that before. I'd worked with my sister and helped her build that business. We worked with like a lash tech. We worked with even like construction and stuff. Like a lot of the things that, you know, the business we were helping were all service-based. And we did kind of try and play around with product-based, but it just didn't feel right. And we just preferred working with people that had a service. So it's really funny. One day after, obviously, at this point, we had a couple of clients in service-based businesses. But one day my auntie was like, I'm going to get some Botox done. Do you want to come with me and take some photos? And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Like, I'll bring my tripod, bring my phone, and I'll do that. And from that moment onwards, our content day services blew up, and we fell into the niche of aesthetics.
Right. Okay.
Like we just fell
like
into it.
Where it comes
but
from.
Everyone thinks that we specifically chose to niche down to aesthetics.
Get you.
And at the time, we actually had a business coach, and she kept saying to me, "You need an ideal client. You need to niche down. You need to this. You need to that." And I was like, "Well, it's just easier if I just pick aesthetics because."
And there's obviously a lot of people that do it. And, you know, with aesthetics, obviously, it's, I suppose, like in anything in the industry, it's all about the looks. It's all about the, you know, like how knowledgeable you are, how you come across. So I expect for aesthetics, it probably was such a popular.
It blew up.
Yeah, I can imagine, because there's, like you said, there's so many people out there, and people are leveling up these days, which is amazing, and it's great. But it's, you know, it must be so rewarding for you to like bring these people's ideas to life. Like, I know obviously when I met you guys, I'd had social media people before, and it was just kind of like, this is the work. And then they just post it. It wasn't like, you know, nothing to the level when I met you guys. I was just like, oh, okay, wow. Like, you know, we're talking to idle people here. We're planning, like, this is like months in advance. This is what I know I'm going to go in, and I'm going to plan to, you know, speak to this person. We're going to sell this. We're going to make this awareness. And I feel like, you know, that opens up your eyes so much to who you're talking to, because again, it brings it back to, you know, you create hair and you know, you master that, but actually when it comes to running a business, you think, I don't know how to do that. I don't know who I'm talking to. You know, the years when I thought, right, I'm just going to do colour and extensions, it's just because I liked to do that. I didn't decide to niche down. I literally was like, well, I love to make a massive transformation. So with doing colour and extensions is where it's at. So that's kind of like where it, obviously went from. So when you were doing your aesthetics clients, then how did you bring it back to more service-based providers?
So I think it all came down to like our experiences. So we're very, very lucky that we have amazing clients, but it's not always like that. And I mean, it's just a simple fact that people are different. People have different values. Alignment is so important. I always go on about this.
Yeah, definitely.
And we did just have a few unaligned clients that were practitioners that actually kind of put us off.
Oh, really?
And I said to Jordan, like, I think there's, I don't know, maybe some expectations there, or
that is it. Like when you say expectation, like it must be so hard, because obviously whatever social part you're doing for them doesn't mean that they're gonna, their business is gonna, tenfold and it's gonna double, because at the end of the day, if the content's not right, or the messaging isn't right, or the communication with the person isn't right, it must be so hard in your job to know that obviously social media is only a part of your business and not the whole thing.
Yes.
Because that's something definitely that I, over years, always concentrated on, was like just social media. I was like, I'm just going to do Facebook, I'm just going to do Instagram. And that is how obviously I built my business. But then it's kind of like, you obviously now in your job must be so hard to say to people, okay, well, we're just one part. We're not the whole thing, you know? So how do you feel like, and what do you say to people when it comes to results and, what you're gonna, like what they will get with it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So we've actually learnt this over time, that it's mainly just boundaries. In the beginning, we were so excited to just work with people and
do
help
everything.
them,
Yeah, of course.
To do an extra bit of work here and there was like, oh, it's fine, I'll just do it anyway. Or like, oh, we'll do a lot more work for you, but it's fine. We'll keep things how they are. Like just because we were growing, we were learning so much, and seeing results was the best feeling.
It's rewarding, so rewarding.
But then it does get to the point where people end up walking all over you, and it kind of just doesn't work out. So now we've learned that actually, no, boundaries are so important when it comes to business. You can still have an amazing relationship with your client,
of course, but
there's boundaries there, and you need to set them straight away.
Yeah, that is so true.
Like when it comes to, like we can manage the account, but are you going to send me content on time? Are you going to send me content that's actually usable? You need to tell me what the content is, what you want from it. Like, there's only so much we can do, because again, like social media management is such a tiny part of marketing. Like,
that is so true.
And people, they expect that when they sign up to management, we're going to scale their business.
Yeah.
But it's like, you need a marketing team to do that. You need help with, like we've said before, like email marketing, account management. But then you've got other things to talk about.
And that's it. And I think something that I definitely have learned over the years is like planning. Like plan your whole year. Like, like if you've been in business a few years, when your quiet times are. You know when something's coming up, like, Black Friday is coming up, or you're doing like a summer sale, or, in aesthetics, obviously it can be a little bit quieter in the summer. So, you want to plan for those times. And I feel like people sometimes at the beginning of the year always think, right, I'm going to do like new things. But you also got to remember, like, to plan through your year, because that's something I've definitely done. I'm like, I always know October's a quiet month. Like, it notoriously is quiet, but it's knowing that a couple of months before, right, we know October's going to be quiet, what we're going to do to fill it. It's being that so conscious. And I feel like when you do start out and you're new in whatever industry, you are kind of figuring it out and finding your footsteps. But if someone is new to social media, what would you say, obviously, if they can't afford a social media team, what steps and guidance can you give them, or can you help them when they're first starting?
Yeah, so, I mean, for anyone, whether you're startup or you're ready to scale, like, take away marketing as a whole. Like we've said before, you need to have a plan.
Yeah.
But like an actual business plan.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter, again, if you're startup or ready to scale, if you're going to go to someone who's going to potentially help you, you need to know what you want out of it, what 100%. Your vision is.
Yeah.
Because we've had so many people come to us where they're like, oh my God, I'd love to work with you. I kind of want this, I kind of want that. And then when we come back and say, oh, we can help you, of course, but what's the goal here? Like, what is it? And they're like, I don't know. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, well, I can't help you because I don't know what you want.
And that's the thing. Like, and I feel like sometimes when people just say, like, let's just say in the hair industry or beauty or aesthetics, it's like, oh, I just want to be fully booked. But do you know how many people you need to be fully booked? Do you know, like, you know, your profit margins? Do you know, like the ideal client who you're speaking to?
How many days are you going to work?
How many days are you going to work? Like, you know, you can really like break it down and work out like how many people you can fit in a day, you know, on an average. Yeah. You know, so it is kind of that situation where if someone says, okay, well, I want to get more reach or I want to go, you know, viral is, you know, again, obviously going viral isn't the be all and end all, but people think, okay, well, I just need to get more eyes on like me and then everyone's gonna buy into it. Well, it doesn't always work like that, you know?
Yeah, so this is why, like, I always say to people, you need to know what your goal is, because obviously, like having a goal of getting more clients, but then going viral, two complete different goals. And they can give you two complete different results. Like,
yeah, it's so true.
So I think help-wise, obviously, there are other things that are low ticket that could benefit people, like whether that's an ebook, whether that's like a mini training course or memberships. Like, I know that we've spoken about this quite a lot before. We offer a membership for people that can't commit to obviously a high ticket management or more of like a marketing team. And I would recommend it to anyone because it's hard out there trying to run a business.
Oh, 100%.
And especially when you're wanting to get to the next step or you're wanting to improve, whether that's being like getting more clients or posting more or what do I post? Who am I talking to? Like to join a social media membership or like your membership that's obviously there to support and help
people
in the beauty industry. Like it's just the first stepping stone to get to where you want to be.
100%. I think, and that's it. I feel like with my membership and probably with yours as well, like you are speaking to people who are literally like, okay, I'm just new and I want to know how to master this, you know, and it's having that time, having that effort and thinking like, right, okay, like I don't know how to, you know, in my membership, I've got a breakdown on social media of like who you're talking to, what's searchable, you know, what is working. The same with yours, like you're constantly adding in like trends and like how things can work and like updates and things. Like I wouldn't know any of that without your membership. So it's, you know, it's that constant like, okay, right, what am I planning in 2 weeks time? Rather than it being a bit like, okay, well, I'm going to post this and then that'll do. You know, I feel like the days have gone, unfortunately, of before and after photos, and that's going to do really well. And I'm going to find my ideal client because there is a lot of people out there. There's, you know, a lot of people in the hair, beauty and aesthetics industry now. And that is great. And everyone is leveling up. But it is one of those things where you've just trained. It can be so overwhelming.
Oh, God, yeah.
So overwhelming. You think, okay, well, I've learned how to do this, but how do I implement it? You know, and that's why it's so good to have low ticket memberships that people are going to be right. Okay, amazing. Like I've just trained in hair extensions. Now I know I'm going to join this membership and it's going to give me this like X, Y, and Z on how much information that's going to be in there. You know, and I feel like that's what people these days definitely need, as well as you know, to see everything else.
Yeah, see, this is the thing as well, and I think it's like your priorities as well. Like if you can't afford a social media team, which is absolutely fine, that's normal. Like not everyone can afford a social media team, especially if you're either just starting out or if you're struggling to get clients. You can still find that help within a membership that is low ticket and it's so affordable for the value you get inside. Like the money you spend on like coffees every day.
Oh my God, I know.
I mean, you can get a membership for cheaper than that.
And that's it. That's going to help it's like, it's your priorities. Like when people say, oh, I don't have time. I'm like, you have time. It's just your priorities. Like, you know, what would you rather do? Would you rather sit on the sofa of an evening for an hour?
And I think we've all done that. We've all sat here and 100%. Said, no, sorry, I don't have time. But it's because you're overwhelmed in your brain and you're like, no, I can't do it.
It's a lot. And I feel like mindset is such a big thing. Like we've spoken so much about mindset and like what it gives you. And I feel like 2024 for me was like a big mindset shift of like, right, I'm just gonna literally do what I want to do, and I'm gonna love what I do, teaching people. Like you're the same, like helping people know what you've taken like obviously taken years to learn and to do, and to then pass it on to people. I feel like mindset and like imposter syndrome, like when I first ever heard about imposter syndrome, I was like, oh my God, that is so me.
Yeah, literally.
Like so me. And then if anyone doesn't know what imposter syndrome is, it basically is like the voice in your head when you're like doubting, isn't it? It's like you're doubting yourself and you're like, I can't do it. Like, oh my God, what's this person gonna think and that? And I'm like, you need to get rid of that, like 100%, because once you get past imposter syndrome, you literally can be like, right, what am I doing?
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like you might always have it creep in, but then that's where you need to shift the mindset.
Yeah,
and you know,
100%.
you acknowledge that it's creeping in. You acknowledge that you're like, okay, I'm feeling a bit like imposter syndrome vibes right now. But then you know that, no, that's just my head. Like, get rid of it.
And that is it. And I feel like even when you do ever train in anything, you are literally like, oh my God, who am I? Like, I get it all the time when people are like, oh my God, I'm not a hairdresser. I'm like, you can train in hair extensions. You just need to have the belief that you're going to really learn and like nail and scale what you're learning. Like, you know, for me, if someone said to me, oh, I want to do this, but I haven't quite mastered that, like master that first and then obviously move on.
Yeah, see, this is the thing, like, especially with what we were saying earlier about having all these ideas and like, it's great having all of these ideas, but then if you find yourself starting an idea and then moving on to the next one, like I always say this to clients, I say this to literally everyone I speak to, like, it's consistency with everything. Like, you have to keep, even if you start something and then you're like, oh no, I don't think this is good, I'll just move on to something else. That's your imposter syndrome. You need to get like control of that.
100%.
Continue doing what you're doing until you like know deep down, actually, no, it's not what I want to do, then fair enough.
Of course.
To quickly jump to and from things, like, it makes you feel worse because you feel like, I've got all these ideas and I can't execute them.
That is it. That is so true. And that is it. One of the things that I think daily is like, just doesn't matter what anyone thinks. Just literally do what makes you happy.
Yeah.
You know, and then like things, as long as I'm someone that, and I think you're the same, constantly learning. Yeah. Constantly want to know. I want to know everything. Like, I wish I was like this when I was at school, because I was not.
Same.
I literally was like, I just want to know. Give me all the information. I'm going to suck it up and then I'm going to like do whatever I need to do with it. And I feel like that's why things like memberships and stuff are so good now, because you learn so much for so little.
And they're easily digestible as well.
100%.
Because it's not like, I've found obviously over the years of growing JA and investing in different coaches and stuff like that, I'm not the type of person that does well with do-it-yourself courses.
No, oh my God, I'm so the same.
I need a one-to-one support. And I need to visually see things. Yeah. And I'm the type of person as well that if I watch someone talk, I have to have you on like 1.5 speed. Like, I have to have it. Yes, because I'm literally the type of person where I'm like, I'm so impatient.
You want to like,
I cannot sit and read a load of information. So if I have you talking, I need you on 1.5 so I can suck in that information as quick as possible.
Why I like, literally like voice note a lot of people, because I feel like I can just get my point across so much better.
Honestly, you've changed my life since voice noting me.
Voice notes, I know. Because I literally am like, well, the amount of times I say to you, you know what I mean.
You know what I mean.
You know what I mean. You're like, yeah, I know what you mean. Course. But it's one of those things, isn't it? Like, I just want to get it out there. And I think another thing with social media is messaging. Like, we said about this so many times, like, you think you're getting your message out there and you're like, that's what I'm saying, and then someone else looks at it and they're like, I didn't get that.
Yeah.
And you're like,
what? And I think as well, like, your tone of voice, I mean, I know in marketing we say a lot about keeping your messaging the same and like having your brand voice out there, but it's not always that easy, because there's times where I go to write a message to one of my clients and I'm like, oh, actually, no, I need to voice note that because it'll come across so differently.
Yeah, definitely. Like, if there's anything that ever comes in, like, I don't know, like a complaint over the years or whatever, I'm like, I'm just going to voice note them because it's
it humanises you as well.
100%. Like, it's just so much easier. I'm like, babe, not a problem. Yeah. Like, it's no biggie. Just come back in. But if someone read that in a message, it could be perceived so differently. Yeah. And I think that's why, like, especially in business now, like, I say to my clients, like, I'm just going to voice note you because I can just get it across. I can explain to you this, like, why I need to do that, rather than like typing it all and then probably like misspelling. But you know, it's one of those things that you say it humanises you, and people go, oh, okay, that's fine. Yeah, like, I get it. You know,
there was I saw a story the other day. She's also in marketing, and she was saying that she came across someone that I met in person and loved what she was doing. And she basically said that she messaged that person interested in like a one-to-one call. And because the girl voice noted her back straight away, she was like, I want more than a one-to-one call. Like I want to work with her on a one-to-one basis for a while, because she took the time and effort to send me a personalized one-to-one message that completely, like, she's, again, I say this all the time, you're human at the end of the day. Like, you need to get that across in your socials. Like, instead of just putting like a professional, strict message back.
No, it's true though, isn't it? Because I feel like people buy from people. Yeah. So, 100%. You know, as much as it's really nice to be professional, it's so good to also know just that you are human. Like, you are just human. Like, you're gonna learn stuff, you're gonna like fail at stuff, you're gonna think you're crap, you're gonna think you're amazing, like you're gonna go through such a journey. But that is so true though. Like, people, you know, like I even, like when students message me, I'm like, I'm just gonna voice note you, because I can tell you so much more about my course than what I can in a message, you know. So it's actually crazy, isn't it, how that kind of message. But then I know some people that are voice note, and then they'll always be like, oh, sorry, I'm you don't have to voice note me back, it's fine. It's just like, personally, I just think it's easier. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, of
course, I do that now. Like, before we voice noted each other so much, like I never voice noted people.
It's so weird, isn't it?
And like, now I do it now. But I do say, I'm like, oh, I'm just voice noting because it's so much easier. Don't feel like you have to do it back.
Like, don't feel like, not everyone feels comfortable to voice note, you know? It's so true.
Like Jordan, like, he would never jump on a call with anyone. He would never voice note anyone.
Oh, I think that's a man thing though, because my husband's like, I don't know if you're speaking to me, or I don't know if you're voice noting, and I'm like, sorry babe, I'm voice noting. But that's such a bloke thing. I honestly think it, because they're just like, they're not, they don't speak like that, do they?
That I like that with me and Jordan. Like, in business, we're so different.
You probably balance each other's out.
100% balance each other out, because there's times where I'm like, I need another set of eyes on this. And so he even does it with me. He's like, right, before I send this to a client, just skim over it. And it's so funny though, because obviously, like, we're in a relationship, like, we're partners. So managing or balancing work life with normal life has been so tricky. Like,
it must be, because I feel like you probably never know when you stop work. Like, when does work end, and when does like life begin? Do you know what I mean?
I feel like we've been in such growth stage for so long with the business that it's been our top priority. And like, we were just like business partners.
But then so nice as well, because I think I said this to you before, like, before I met you, like, obviously I speak to you all the time, and my husband's like, he's obviously got his own business and he's got his own thing going on, and I'm like, blah, 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 blah. But then when I met you, I was like, I obviously speak to you about so much stuff, but it's that thing of not having another business owner to speak to. Do you know what I mean? I feel like in the industry, that is what so needs to happen. Like, more business owners need to speak to business owners and realise whatever you're going through or whatever you're feeling is so normal.
100%.
Because I feel like, even though from the journey of going from newly trained to like being a fully booked like stylist, and then being like, okay, I'm going to branch out and I'm going to open a salon, to then having staff, like, there's so many different stages that you go through, and you think, oh my God. And then like every stage you think, when you do have your own salon, you are just the owner. Like, you don't have anyone else to speak to. You don't have anyone else to be like, okay, well, what do you think of this? Or unless obviously you have a business partner. But, you know, like, majority of the time you were doing it by yourself, and you just think like, I've got no one to speak to. Literally, like, there's no one else to say, well, what do you think of that? Or do you think I should do that? Or take that risk. Like, it's just so one of them things. I think that's like, in my membership, that's something I really want to like build on, is women helping women in this industry. Like, it is, ever since I've obviously put out about what I'm doing, so many people have like reached out, and it's so lovely. And I think they just probably feel the same, and they're just like, okay, well, like, I want to pick your brain about a few things. I'm like, go for it. Like, you know, because they're probably having the same worries that I've had, you know. So it's so true. So true.
Of course. And I feel like, if you have a partner that you can speak to, that's amazing. But unless they're involved in the business, they just aren't going to get it like you get it. As 100%. Much as they want to support you and want to listen to your dramas and whatever, but it's just not the same.
No, so
and I
true.
feel like that's our communication is really good, because we obviously do talk so much, but it's because not if you have a problem, but if you have anything where you're like, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? You not only have me, then you have Jordan's set of eyes as well.
Yeah, it's just so nice to be like, even like a font, I'd be like, what do you think of this? And you're like, yeah, cool, I love that. Or no, like maybe, like, I think we just spoke about earlier, didn't we? Like a readable font.
Yeah.
Like it's just something so simple.
Yeah.
But you'd be like, okay, that would work.
And a second set of eyes is helped me a lot. And I couldn't, I would obviously don't know, but I've always said to Jordan or to anyone, like, I just don't know if I'd have been able to do what we've done if it was just me, because there's a lot that we do that it's so different. Like, he does a lot of the back end of the business, like finances, all the techie stuff. And there's stuff that I do that he would never do. But then there are obviously stuff that we collaborate on, and it's great, but it's like, I just,
it is a lot. Like,
I look at people who run their own business on their own, and I just think, wow.
Yeah, it is a lot. And that's the thing, like, I feel like when you do, like, I am lucky, like my husband, he helps me more. He is the finance man. But it is, it's going from being, like, obviously self-employed to, the whole, like, situation you, like, do VAT and tax, and that in itself is, like, overwhelming.
Different ball game.
If anyone gets in that situation, I would just say get an accountant.
Yeah.
It's so much easier. But it is, again, knowing those, like, the special what am I even about, knowing, like, what parts of the business, and there's so much to business than just doing your job. It's everything else that goes with it.
Yeah, of course. I think me and Jordan have learned to understand over the last, like, 3 years how we work. Because before, obviously, I've said before, like, we worked in a cafe together, so we knew how each other worked.
Yeah.
And we are very different people. But now I've kind of learned how to approach things with Jordan and vice versa, because obviously, because we are partners,
it must be so hard not to get those lines crossed.
When your relationship creeps in, it kind of like, when you, like, bicker or you snap or something like that, he can be like, can you check this work for me? And I'm like, yeah, cool. And I check it and I'm like, maybe change this or change that. And then he gets, like, not gets the hump, but he's like, oh. But it's because our relationship mixes with work, and you have to learn how to balance it and how to talk to each other like so business partners.
Yeah, it's so true. How do you manage then to, like, separate it? Do you just have, like, 5 o'clock, we're done? We're still navigating it.
Yeah. We're a lot better than we were. Like, it literally, we spent so long in survival mode of, like, this has to work, that it was, like, really late work, like late nights.
I feel like you bond in that mode though. Like, I feel like when me and my husband both had our business at the same time, we were like that, survival, you know. And it is kind of like it's the journey. Like, you love it.
I mean, I guess we have learned that, like, we've been in so many positions of make or break and, like, business make or break, and we've seen each other in, like, the lowest of the lows. Like, so I guess, it has been a journey, but it's 100% made us, like, adamant that we will not stop until we get to where we want to be, because it's just,
and I feel like it's so good that you say adamant as well, because I do feel like people sometimes have situations and they're like, oh, that didn't work out, I'm just going to stop. You can't. Like, for me, like, failure is never an option. Things might change, my ideas might change, my sort of situations where I think, okay, well, that's what I wanted, I'm there, I don't really want that anymore, that's okay. You just have to change what you want. As long as you are focused on it, you just know that you can never just, like, anyone that thinks a failure, you're like, no, it's not a failure, you're just learning from it and moving on.
I think that really speaks to people who obviously run their businesses but have made that jump from, if they have, like, a part-time job or a full-time job, and they've gone from that straight into their business. I feel like that will speak volumes, because that was what it was for me and Jordan. Like, when we first launched JA, we had our CAF jobs, but obviously we were lucky to have our full-time CAF jobs. But then we said to each other, I remember saying to him one day, I would love to not have this job, because I would love to spend all my time at home working on the business. And then what happens? Both made redundant.
Oh, no way.
Literally just launched a business, had no clients, no income coming in, calf redundant.
Oh my God.
And then we were like, okay, this has to work.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm not joking, for 8 months it was horrid. Like, it was
I feel like you get
awful.
I have this thing where I give myself the fear. Like, I do this all the time. Like, my husband will say to me, like, do you need the fear? And I'm like, yeah. Because if I get the fear, then I'm like, oh my God, this has to work.
That's so true. That is literally what I was saying about the make or break situation.
That is it. Like, it's otherwise, that is it. Like, you know, if I don't give myself the fear, I don't really ever push myself unless I'm really scaring the shit out to myself.
Everyone would do it.
Yeah, and that is so
and that's
true.
just not life.
No,
like,
that is it. Like,
hard.
honestly, and even if you come back to, like, you know, like when you were learning to walk, like Sophia's learning to walk at the minute, and I'm like, imagine if you just thought, no, I'm going to give up. What, you're never going to learn to walk? You're never going to master something. Like, you will get there.
Yeah.
It's just how long it's going to take you.
You just
think
have to keep
the amount of
going.
times she falls over, bless her, she bumps her head. I'm like, she's going to get back up and she's going to, like, continue trying to walk.
Yeah.
And it's exactly the same in business.
Yeah.
You know, you think you're going to get somewhere, you're, like, plodding along. Nope, something happens.
Yeah.
But it's fine because you'll just get over it and move on. And again, it brings it back to mindset. Like, how your mindset
so
will
important.
get you past that, you know?
Yeah, and I think I get it and you get it. I mean, we all get it. Like, it's hard. And I'm not surprised that people give up. I'm not surprised.
God, no, same.
Like, the feelings that we have felt as business owners, as a couple, like how we have felt in the last 3 years, like the mix of emotions, like, would put anyone off.
Oh my God, I know. It is a ride. Like, it really is a ride. Like, the amount of times I've turned around to my husband and say, I'm just going to be a stay-at-home mum now. Like, I'm done. You know, and he's like, come on. I'm like, yeah.
And then you realise how much you want it and you have to make it work.
And that is it.
We both said it, like, the thought of having to go back into the rat race of a 9 to 5, the thought of that makes my skin crawl. Like, it makes me feel physically sick because I'm not made for that life. Like,
no, I know.
The experiences that I had in jobs, don't get me wrong, our CAF job was lush. Like, we had an amazing boss. Like, it was lovely.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I don't want to work with the people, like the public, on a day-to-day basis. I
think in time, over years, you realise your worth and you realise what you're 100%. Worth. And then you think, you know, like the amount of girls that I train in extensions and they're like, oh my God, I really want to leave my job, like my awful admin job in London. I don't want to travel there anymore. I just want to do my own thing. I'm like, you can do it. You just need to really apply yourself, learn, and get yourself out there because it really, you know, you need to put the hours in. And it's not even just the hours, like figuring out stuff, figuring out like what, you know, like how you're going to get those clients in, how are you going to like be a little bit different to the next person. Like plan. One of my things that I remember when I first started out was I would curl every single person's hair, everyone's hair. Yeah. Even if they didn't want it, you're having it curled. Yeah. Why? Because I want to give someone hair that they can't do themselves. And that was kind of like the thing that I think at first known for. Yeah. Like, you know, back in 2013, it was like, no one curled hair to finish off every single client. Like, you know, it was one of those things where obviously now I know it's more of a thing, but back then it wasn't. You would just have your hair like rough dried off and then straightened or whatever. And that was like just the pinnacle of like hatred for me because I was like, you should have a nice blow dry and a curl. Like, you know, you're coming to me for a service, you know? So I feel like it's when you look back at things that you might obviously think, okay, well, that girl was known for that. Like, what else can you get? You're not known for, like, it's your unique selling point.
Yeah,
you know?
we talk
it's
about
like,
this all the time.
Yeah, it's one of those things like, what are you gonna offer? Maybe a little bit different to anyone else that is offering, you know, which is why someone's gonna come to you. It doesn't always depend on price. I think people think they get into that price situation of like, oh well, I'm gonna be a little bit cheaper than this person or this person. It doesn't matter. Yeah. It's the value that you offer and the service that you offer is more than what, you know, like 5-10 quid cheaper than the person down the road.
Like, don't get me wrong, we all should do market research, you know, we should all see what our competitors are doing and so on. But like, when it comes to marketing and stuff, like obviously when I talk about personal branding and stuff, you are going to set yourself apart from everyone else. You are you. Do you know what I mean? No one can take that or replicate that. But then also alongside you, like you said about having key selling points and having extra tweaks that you do here and there that represent you and your brand and
Yeah.
your company or whatever, that just sets you apart from everyone else.
Yeah, and that's it. And I feel like, you know, people sometimes want to stand out but don't know how to stand out, you know. And I feel, again, like bringing it back to the membership, like that will just break everything down for people so easy that hopefully they can literally just watch videos and be like, right, okay, now I know what I need to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, perfect. So thank you so much for coming on today. I really hope people have got like a lot of value from this episode. So what I'll do, obviously, I say me, it's probably going to be you, tag obviously your social media, your Facebook, and anything else that obviously it should be on there. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
No worries.